Hey everyone, welcome back to our final series or final session for this series. This is going to be covering Jira and Excel. This is our this is part of our getting started with Jira, and as I mentioned, this is our very final course in this entire series of getting started with Jira. At this point, we have done 12, count them, 10 and 2, 12 sessions on everything you need to know to get started with Jira. We have covered all the beginner stuff, everything you could possibly need. It's all in this entire getting started with Jira. So keep an eye out because I am going to be putting together a mega episode where all of them are going to be together in one continuous stream. It's going to be, I would predict, around 11 to 11 and a half hours long. So definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're going to be dropping this entire getting started with Jira because we started way back in January, all the way back in January. With just what is Jira, and we've made our way all the way to some of the more powerful use cases here, and so I'm excited to bring this all for you guys here. So this is the final one: Jira and Excel / Google Sheets. They're both kind of one and the same. Don't hate me if you guys don't believe that, but we're going to be taking a look at basically a spreadsheet. So couple of friendly reminders. First of all, welcome to everybody. We got Edgar in the house. I think it was Hari who was the HC one. So I think it's Hari. We got Edgar. We got the Mark Major. So welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here. Hopefully you are moments away from or hours away from shutting down for the holiday weekend here in the United States and going to enjoy some delicious turkey or Thanksgiving, whatever y'all do for your family traditions. But yeah, we are at the end. We're almost there at the end of the year. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody if you're in the United States. All right. So the sessions are being recorded. These are going to be available on YouTube. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. I don't have a lot of slides because we don't cover a whole lot in the slides, but you are always welcome. And I encourage you to rewatch the replay and watch the videos. Maybe slow them down a little bit, rewatch them just so you can sink all the concepts into your brain. Turn on those notifications because while we are done with getting started with Jira, we are not done with our series. Next week, we're going to have not one, not two, but not three, but 4 sessions. We're going to have 4 sessions next week. And so come back refreshed after a little holiday break. And we're going to kick December off. We're going to kick December off with a bang, 4 videos. And it's going to be awesome. So we're doing a big, huge Atlassian for startups next week. So if you're looking for a course that teaches you with real world examples how to interplay all the tools from Jira product discovery to Jira to Bitbucket and all of the like this is the course that's going to be for you. We're going to cover 6 tools that I have enough fingers. We're going to cover 6 tools next week on our Atlassian for Startups. So make sure you sign up. I'll give some information in a little bit as well. Now, say hello in the chat. Again, we already have a couple people tuning in. We got Susan, a regular here that's been following me for the last couple years. So Susan, hello, welcome. Yeah, feel free to say hello. And let me know in the chat, do you currently use Excel? Does your team prefer to use Excel over Jira? And were you aware that you can actually integrate both Jira and Excel to not duplicate efforts and or work? And so you can still treat Jira as your single source of truth. And I'm going to show you some of that in today's episode. The more you interact in the chat as well, the more the leaderboard goes up. And so it's a fun little game that YouTube created. So ask questions, interact, be a part of this community. Just feel free to just ask, right? We do use Excel for some things, and so Excel's kind of the hard one to get away from. Excel, in my opinion, will forever live as the ultimate tool in the world, as far as within the IT world. And so it's kind of hard, but today I'm going to show you how you can leverage the power of Jira and the power of Excel for good, right? So that you don't have to make the compromise of choosing one over the other. I'm going to show you how these two come together. So kind of a fun one today, kind of a buggy one today. You'll see. Stay tuned. I'll show you my troubles here and we'll get into it. All right. Become a member if you appreciate this content. You got kids to feed. Apparently they get hungry. And so become a member and we give you early access to videos. We give you member only videos. There's also a super chat. So if you feel like, if you found value of this training and or series, feel free to use that super chat. And then we'll talk about some offers at the end here. Now, before we get into it, before we get into it, I did mention in the last Mondays and Tuesdays course, I did launch an exciting new school community. This is a community that is private, it is paid, and I drop with my colleague here, Josh, and we drop a lot of knowledge and a lot of value into this course. Josh and I are pouring everything into this course. All of our top most important things that we're trying to achieve in 2025 and 2026 are all going to the school community. So if you're looking for a place to basically call home and to get the most bang for your buck and to get, very personalized, very specialized trainings and hands-on and one-on-one chats with Josh and I, feel free to join our school community. Also, I haven't done these since like January or February, but back from early in the year, a special thanks to Titan Apps for being our sponsor for today's episode. I did want to share a little story. So back in October, I was in Barcelona and I went to Team 25 Europe, and I am, waiting for the conference to start. And it's a Monday night, so the conference doesn't start until Tuesday evening. But Monday and Tuesday morning, Atlassian does something called Partner Accelerate. And it's an opportunity for the partners, the marketplace partners, whether they're solution partners or marketplace partners. Titan Apps makes apps, so they're marketplace partners. They are there at the event, and late night, well, it wasn't that late, like 10 p.m. ish. We're heading out. There was a couple of parties to attend on Monday night. A couple of happy hours, really, is what they were. And so on my way back, my buddy, you all, some of you probably know Robert Heen from Heen Tech. He makes amazing Confluence and other training videos here as well. So both him and I were coming out of our happy hour, and we get to the Airbnb that I was in. And these Airbnbs, I don't know what it is about Europe. I'm American, and everything's bigger in America apparently. But these like elevators were like half a person can fit in them. And so we get into this tiny, tiny, tiny elevators, my buddy Robert Heen and I. But when the doors open, like there's a whole group of us. There's 6 of us in the hallway. And so 6 of us cramp into a half a person elevator. And by just serendipity, it was the fine folks over at Titan App. So we started a relationship since then, and we just kind of been nurturing that relationship. And so now I'm proud to say they're a sponsor of APEC and of this series here. So shout out and special thanks to Titan Apps. And that's a little story of how we met. All right, a little bit about me now. I have the ACP 120, 620, 520, and I'm currently studying for the 420. I'm planning on taking the 420 probably in January at this point, so I can use the month of December to study. I have a couple of engineering degrees, a bachelor's in computer engineering, a master's in systems engineering, a few cybersecurity certifications. I run this YouTube channel here, APEC Tech Tutorials. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button, guess what? Now would be a great time for you to subscribe to APEC Tech Tutorials. Just hit that subscribe button down below. But you might have also recognized me by being the co-host of the Jira Life. So I am co-host of the Jira Life. I run DevOps Roundup with Sean Doyle. That's another channel. I have a Disney channel because I love all things Disney, and there's just so much going on. And so definitely check out my link tree here that I just dropped in. Oops, I did not drop in. Yeah, I did drop in my link tree. So feel free to check out the link tree so you can check out all the additional resources. Lots of cool stuff. All right. That was all the advertisement. What are we going to be learning today? We're going to cover 2 things, 2 different ways. We're going to do Sheets to Jira, Excel to Jira, then Jira to Sheets, and Jira to Excel. Okay. And then I'm going to show you the paid apps, because as you're going to see, this is going to be a rocky, bumpy 50 minutes here. It's a little rocky. It's a little tough. So we're definitely going to have some fun with it, but just be aware that you get what you pay for. And when you pay 0, you're going to get 0, right? And again, I'll show you. I have all the stuff already kind of working here in my Jira, but I just wanted to show you how these things work. So we're going to kick things off by connecting Jira, and I have my Jira here. And so we're going to kick things off by showing you Jira and then connecting Jira to Google Sheets. This is the easiest of the methods. So I kind of want to start off with the win, and we're going to start swinging here. And so we're going to actually go into Google Sheets. Okay. And I'm going to show you what this looks like inside of Google Sheets. We're just going to open up a new sheet here, and I'm going to zoom in on this one too, so you guys can see a little bit better. And then I'm going to show you again how inside of Sheets we're going to pull Jira data in. That's the first step, and then we're going to go in reverse a little bit later. But before we do that, the Mark Major here says, I used you and Ronnie's trainings for the ACP 120. Awesome. That's always good to hear. We're about to drop the 420. It's going to be like a massive 25-hour session. And so hope you have fun with the 420 one. We definitely had a blast making it. Okay, so you are inside of Google Sheets. This is very, very critical, folks. You are in Google Sheets. Okay, we're starting in Google Sheets. We're not starting in Jira. Our starting point is Google Sheets. Okay, and what you're gonna do here is you're gonna go to your tools, extensions, and you want to add the Jira Cloud for Sheets add-on. Now, you could go over here to get add-ons, and then you're going to look for Jira in this search here, and we have the Google Cloud for Sheets. This is the one you want to install. This is going to be very critical. This doesn't work if you don't install this one. So if you're taking notes, highlight, underscore, point arrows to it. This is the critical first step. On the Google side, you need to install Jira Cloud for Sheets. And this, my friends, is where your first of many problems may get started. Because you need to install something in Google Sheets, you may not have access to do it on your work account. So you may need to talk to your IT leadership or your IT manager or whoever manages installations for apps on the Google side, but you may need to talk to them and get permission or have them install it for you. But this is a critical first step. And this is something you have to go do on the on the Google Sheets side. So you're going to search up Jira Cloud for Sheets, and we're going to install this one. Once it is installed, it's under extensions and it's going to be in the bottom. And you're simply going to click on open. And once you do that, this Sheets is going to kind of push over to the side, and we got this navigation that's over on the side here. Okay. And so over on the right hand side, right below make sure you scan that QR code, by the way, if you are interested in the smart checklist by Titan Apps. Definitely scan that QR code and start your free 30-day trial. Okay, so below that, we now have our Jira Cloud for Sheets here that popped up. And we have a couple of options. We can get issues. Well, first of all, you're going to have to connect. So you have to pick which Jira you're going to connect to. So I have access to a few. So you're going to pick the one that's appropriate. Pro tip and pro spoilers here. You're hopefully, and in most cases, because you guys are all like, you work at a company and whatnot, your account, your email for Jira should be your account for Google. Okay, that should normally be the case. And so as long as that's true, you're going to be fine. The same thing is going to apply when we go over to Excel, but you typically want to make sure that you're logged in using the same email. Otherwise, this thing gets wonky. Also, you might not have access to a dozen different Jiras like I do, and you should only have access to one. And as Rodney says, should is a very big, important word here, but should, I'm a very special case. I help people all around the world with the Jira problem, so I have access to a lot of different Jiras, but you should, at least through your corporate account, have access to only one. So you're going to do the connection. Once you do your connection here, the permissions, the typical permissions of like, can Sheets talk to Jira? Can we read the data? Right? All those permissions that you typically get, they're gonna prompt, right? They're gonna flash in your face. You're gonna log in. You're gonna accept the permissions, and then we're gonna get this far, and you're going to have your site connected. So this is good. This is like a great step too. Once you install the add-on, we now need to log in and accept the permissions and pick a site. Again, you should only have one site, and then we're ready to roll from here. Now, once you're connected, we have a couple of options. We have get issues from Jira, which this hasn't been updated. These are not called work items. So we're going to mainly use this. You have a few settings. You can check and see what's new. You can view Jira fields. You have an FAQ. You can get some support. You can see other last-in integrations. And you can disconnect from your site, which I find to not be too helpful when you have multiple accounts because it just gets super confused. But you should be able to do this fairly easily because you should only have one Jira and one account. Nathan Korn, hello. Okay, so let's focus on why we're here. We're going to click on that get issues from Jira, which again should at some point be updated to say work items. And this is the fun part. This is where we now are ready to start populating our table. Because right now we have a pretty empty table here and it wants some Jira data. And so here is how we're going to import our work. You want to be under issues and you want to pick your import type. Now you have a few options. You can do JQL. So if you know your JQL, you can start typing in JQL here. Now I should tell you that if I start typing in like project equals, it does kind of work. It kind of starts to help you, right? So I can actually go and like bring ATIP Tech Tutorials, and I can do issue type, right? It's bringing a lot of the familiarity that you have when you are writing JQL inside of Jira, which is very, very good because if you're like me, I don't memorize the JQL command. So this is really good that it can help me bring in the code that I want and that helps me build it. Because otherwise you're having to like go to Jira, build the JQL over there because it's Jira's JQL is designed to help you build the JQL. And so once you build your JQL, you can copy paste it over here. But it's great that it also helps you. I think this is a really good feature, really cool thing that it can do. But that's one way. We also have basic. And so basic's going to be just like the basic JQL inside of Jira, where you can pick your project, which again should be updated to spaces. But you can start specifying which project you want, what issue types, which again should be updated to work types, any specific statuses, and so on and so forth. But here's the kicker, folks. Here's what makes this integration very, very, very powerful. Inside of Jira, for whatever reason, I don't know why Atlassian does this, but inside of Jira, you are limited to working with 1,000 work items at a time. And so if you wanted to do like a bulk edit or do anything like that, you can only search, right? If you wanted to share information, if you wanted to do some metrics or data with your Jira work, you are limited to 1,000 items. And inside of here, you can see I can set it up to 5,000 and I can go a little higher if I wanted to. And so this is one of the biggest benefits of being able to use Sheets or Excel over the native stuff is that you can actually go well beyond the 1,000 max issues limit that Jira natively has built in. So this is an amazing feature that is like low key. If you don't know, if you didn't know about it, like let me blow your mind right now, right? Because this is powerful stuff, folks. If you've ever tried to manipulate over 1,000 issues in Jira, you have cried, right? And in the chat, let me know, have you ever cried because of this limitation of only being able to do 1,000 work items, right? And so this is what's really cool. Can Sheets and Excel connect to Jira assets? I don't think so yet, but we can test it out. Remind me in a little bit, Nick. We can definitely test things out. I have not seen it, but we might be able to do it because sometimes, I mean, depends on, I guess, if how you set up your assets, right? If you have like specific fields, right, that have like the asset data, we might be able to play around with it. I don't have assets in this particular instance, so I probably won't be able to demo it, but we can definitely take a look. I need to have assets configured, and I'm too poor. I'm too poor to have a JSM Premium. JSM Premium is expensive, so I just have regular standard or free actually JSM. So let's take a look at the end. If there's any time, I might just get a trial and we'll figure it out. Okay. So anyway, so you do the basic and then you do your connections and then that's good. Now, if you already have a filter, right? So if you've already written your JQL and you save that as a filter, then that's even better because then you can just simply go and you can get your starred filters or you can find some of the other filters here. I find that it's not the cleanest, so I would definitely star your filters if you're going to go down this route because what you see is what you get. And if you don't have the filter starred, then you're a little out of luck and it doesn't look like I can like search for it easily. So I would probably not go the filter route. I would probably do the basic or the JQL. And then you can call a Jira function. This spreadsheet does not have any Jira functions. I've never actually used any Jira functions, but apparently you can use a Jira function. I don't know what this is, but it looks like there's some documentation that might be able to give you some information. So feel free to go and explore this one. I would say though, sticking with the JQL or the basic is probably going to be good enough for you. And when you're ready, you can just simply click on Get Issues Now, and that's going to go back and retrieve all of the work items that that actually meet your qualifications for that filter. And while that's going, again, make sure you check out Smart Checklist by Titan Apps, and there's a QR code up above on the top right corner. And a special shout out to Titan Apps for making this episode possible. All right. Oops, we have no issues found. Uh-oh, that's not good. Let's just bring in all the work. Let's just go over here, bring in issues. Let's bring everything in. Let's see what you can get. I did test this earlier and it should have worked. Unbounded, you're not allowed to. Okay, it's too many. So let's do this. This one should have work in it. I know it should have work in it. And while that's going, we're gonna go and answer some questions. So Ronnie says lobby Atlassian to give creators access to premium features. Yeah, we have the Atlassian one, but things get tricky. Things get tricky because you can't install apps, and there's a whole set of problems. But yeah, having our own premium licenses would definitely be a much better play than the Atlassian one. The Mark Major says, I'm assuming the functions work like smart values and automation. If you want to get info on Jira and OneSell, probably, most likely. I'm just too scared to do it publicly on the internet. Okay, we have brought in our work, and as you can see here, we have our issue type, we have our key, we have what's the deal with school? Well, it's a great new awesome community that a certain Josh and I launched, and you can get more information here. And I'll drop a link in the chat here for everybody else that might want to join. Special place to see special creations, special courses, and or also our one-on-one happy hour or office hours that Josh and I have. Okay, so the work has come through. As you can see, we have our issue type, we have our key, we have our summary, assignees, and stuff like that. But you may be wondering, like, well, how do we control which fields come in? Well, that's where you can come to fields up here in the top right in the middle. And then this is going to allow you to essentially manipulate which fields bring over or come over. And so basically any field that you have inside of, whether it's a custom field or an out of the box field, you can bring it in. And so you can bring in, again, whatever feels important for you. I do have priority. I do have due date as well. So as you can see, I can scroll over to the right, and I have some HubSpot stuff. These are custom fields that I have, but you can bring in pretty much anything that you want. You can bring in your description. Again, if the field exists, right, just hit save when you're done selecting your fields. You can remove fields as well with the edit, right? You can just deselect the checkbox if you don't care. Like, I don't care for these HubSpot ones. Shout out to Resolution. Hit save there, and then you get issues now. It'll refresh itself and bring you that data over. So this is going to go out. Yes, continue. We're going to replace our current cells. We're going to get rid of the HubSpot ones. And as you can see, there's our data. So now just the fields that we brought in, that's what we're going to see. Okay. Now, the last thing that I want to show you is that you can actually schedule this, right? So if you don't want to be here continuously refreshing your issues, although at any point, this is what's kind of cool, at any point during weeks or months later, you can always just click on refresh issues, and whatever changes happen in Jira, they'll automatically come in and drop in for you. So just simply click on refresh issues, and that's it. TLDR, Alex has a family feast. Thanks, Ronnie, when you put it that way. Maybe Josh and I are just trying to change the world. Okay. So as you can see, that refreshes brings things in, and you can always set it as a schedule. But again, if you don't want to set a schedule, you can always set it's kind of cool actually what you get here. You can do a manual, which is the refresh issues button. You can do an hourly, you can do daily, you can do weekly, and you can do monthly on the last Wednesday. I don't know why that's the option, but monthly on the last Wednesday, that's when you're going to get it. And then you can tell it when it's going to do it and when it should expire. And so that's kind of cool, right? And so those work there. But that is basically it. Now, there's one test that I want to do. I want to do something interesting. I want to basically take this work here, and I want to do my cost of, let's do due date. Let's do a due date, and let's just copy the due date, and let's set these over to be, let's fast forward them to be at the end of this month. We're going to do it for the 30th. And I want to drop these down, okay? Because now I have data in here. And what's very important is, and I think this might be a limitation. I'm not very optimistic as to what's going to happen next, but I ideally would like to answer the question, because I don't know this. I haven't tried this myself, folks. Can I push the data into Jira, right? And so I can do the refresh issues, and I think that should override my data, but I don't, see, so that overrides. So unless somebody in the chat here knows the answer, you ideally cannot write data in, but you can do the data read in. So you can read data into Sheets, but you can't write out to Jira. But this is still powerful enough because now you can add colors, you can color code your data. So as long as you don't go refresh your data, so this kind of sucks because it does make it a little stale. But you can do whatever you want to do it inside of Sheets, because maybe you're more familiar or more comfortable with Sheets. But it's definitely a powerful way to do this. Some nights I dream I'm a millionaire. Other dream days I dream of Excel allowing writing data to Jira. Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? So, anyways, that is the Google Sheets one. Okay, now remember, we're in Google Sheets and we went out um, to sorry, we're in Google Sheets and we grabbed the data from Jira, but we started in Google Sheets. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to reverse the order here. Okay, so now I'm inside of Jira, and now I'm going to do like a quick search, right? So in under basic, I'm going to pick a project. I'm going to pick this. Let's see, show my full list, and let's just grab a couple of projects here, and let's see if I have actual work in here. Okay, for some reason I don't have any work in my Jira. I need to add stories. Folks, I am not. Oh, wait. Freaking Atlassian that created. Let's get rid of that created. ATT does not exist. Oh, how did we get out of here? Okay. Boy. Atlassian. Let me go back to basic. Here we go. Apparently that one project I picked. If Atlassian, if the project doesn't exist, then why do you let me still pick it? Help me. Okay. Here we go. I have 123 items, right? Down here on the bottom, I have 123. And so if you wanted to go from Jira to Google Sheets, which is actually a little trickier, but will still work sometimes. I did find that sometimes it'll just hang. And so I would caution you to proceed with caution here. But once you do your searches, right, maybe you have a filter, but whatever you do, right, you have your data that you want. You have an app section. Now to get here, the easiest way, in my opinion, is to go to search and go to view all work items. Because if you go through your spaces and you come in here, you have the list view now because all work has gone away. Atlassian has replaced all work with list. But you'll notice that I don't have the apps button here. So I can export, I can group, I can quick filter, but I do not have the app button in this particular view. So for you to get the apps button that I'm about to show you, you need to do the search by clicking on the search at the top, clicking on view all work items, and getting rid of this crap that says only last 30 days. I don't know why that work's still there. Is there? Yeah, so all work does technically still exist, but it's now just list and all work, but I don't have the app button that I'm looking for. And this is the button that I want. So I want this button right here. And so I'm going to go back, get my projects, not including that dumb project that apparently doesn't exist, have my 123 items. I am now going to click on apps, and I'm going to click on open in Google Sheets. And so this is going to trigger all kinds of things, but the big one is this pop-up. So if you have pop-up blockers, which like 99% of the world does now, I'm going to click on allow, and then you pray. You pray and hope that it actually opens up. I had it hang at one point, and it didn't really work. And then I tried it again, and then it worked. So your mileage may vary, but just know that it's like a hit or miss from what I've seen. But as you can see here, it brings back the 123 items that we had inside of our Jira. And there's a little about section that kind of doesn't show you a whole lot other than where things came from. It shows you the query, the Jira site, and the time. But I guess I have to hit allow access for all these things to come through. Okay. So here's just like some marketing stuff that they give you, connecting Jira Sheets, right? Some stuff here. And you can schedule the data, which we covered. You can generate the charts and graphs. So this is one of the great reasons why you would care for this, is to be able to create like pivot tables, which I'm not a master of pivot tables, but pivot tables is now a thing that you can do if you bring your data out of Jira. Because if any of you appreciated Monday's session, you know that the dashboards are lackluster in Jira, to say the least. And so they're not always the best. But anyways, so this right here, friends, is basically the export from, well, I wouldn't call it an export, but it's going from Jira into Google Sheets, right? So originally I was in Google Sheets. I set up the extension, and then I summoned the data into Google Sheets. But this time I kind of pushed the data. I was inside of Jira, and I said, go open it inside of Google Sheets, which is very different, right? What I did with the apps is very different than exporting. Exporting to a CSV or exporting to Excel is not what we're doing here. This is very static one way. The Google Sheets thing that I did, you should still always have the option to pull in your Google Sheets extension and refresh your data. So you should always be able to just grab your data from Google Sheets, and so that way you don't have to continuously um, do exports, right? Because if you're always just doing exports and you're working with very stale data, so the cool thing about the integrations is that you have the ability to always just do that refresh and be able to get that data. So that, my friends, is Google Sheets. I don't think that we have any questions on this, so I'm going to close out my Google Sheets stuff, and we're going to pivot. We're going to move over to Excel for the second half of this training. So Josh wants to know, what did the blanket say when it was falling off the bed? Oh, sheet. Look at Josh with the jokes. All right, folks, drop your favorite Excel or Google Sheet jokes in now. And all right, so we got David. The Jira function is a good solution when you want to have the output in a different cell than the A1. So, or if you want to have the same worksheet more than one query. All right, David, thank you so much for that. That was very helpful. Okay. I did not know that, David. So that was truly very helpful. Okay. So let's go over to Excel. So we're going to basically do the same thing and kind of just show you how this works bi-directionally, or not bi-directionally, but from Excel to Jira. Now, disclosures, disclaimers, because this, my friends, is the hardest thing I've ever done this morning. And I didn't do a whole lot of things, but this is tricky. Getting Excel to speak to Jira is going to be trickier than Google Sheets because you have way more permissions and way more IT overhead that you're going to have to go through. And so, assuming your company approves it and whatnot, these are some of the steps that you did. So, I am in Excel. Okay. But in order to get this far, what I actually had to do was I had to get an extension. And I'm trying to remember which way I went about this morning. I do believe I did Jira and Excel integration. And then I went to integrate Jira Cloud. This is the official Atlassian documentation. And as you can see, you need to add the Jira Cloud for Excel add-in. So which means that inside of Excel, and I'm going to zoom in for you guys here. Let me close this stuff out real quick. I do not want to log out. Just go away for a second. Okay, so what I did here was under Tools, there's the Excel add-ins. And then I click not browse. No, that's not the way I went. Oh, where's that store at? I went somewhere. I just did it like 3 hours ago, guys. This should not be this hard for me. I think I clicked on this. This is what I did. Yes, I clicked on this. And then this redirects you to the Microsoft Store. So notice that you are not inside of Atlassian's marketplace at all. You are now inside of the marketplace for Microsoft, which is where, again, you may have to speak with your Jira, your IT manager, your IT support, whoever it is in your company, because you need to get these things installed inside of Excel. And so you're going to click on the Get It Now, which is then going to trigger you to log in, and it's going to trigger you to authorize Excel to talk to Jira. This is made officially by Atlassian, so this is the official add-on that you want to get. You don't want to get third-party add-ons. You want to get this one. And so from a cybersecurity perspective, I don't know that you're any better, but at least Atlassian is a big billion-dollar company that you can sue if something bad happens. All right. But you want to get this one by Atlassian. But once you go through all the hoops, because again, trust me, it's just, I can already imagine, right? Because it's the whole Microsoft 365 stuff. So you need to get the right approvals, and you might not have the right permissions. And it's just going to be a little bumpier than it was with Google Sheets. But assuming you get through all of that, assuming that you can get through all those hurdles, and you can actually log in, what you get is Excel. And so then you have your tools and you have your, then you can go to your home button, right? And then when you're in home, all the way on the far right, you will have your Get Jira data, which is nicely placed adjacent to our Titan app. So if you're checking out that smart checklist, make sure you scan that QR code adjacent to the Get Jira button. All right, so when you do the Get Jira, this is going to bring us and get our import data, which is going to look very, very, very familiar to the one we just did with Sheets, with a couple of differences. First, you don't have basic. You have to build the JQL, right? You have to build your JQL. So you don't have that ability. That I think this is a miss. I think this is a huge miss on the Excel side, where you should give users the option to just do the drop down. So you don't have that privilege here. You have to know your JQL. And so right here, you're going to start typing in your project equals, and very similar to what we had inside of our Microsoft one, we have the ability to essentially go grab our data. Now, what is interesting, what I do not like about this is that I don't actually have the like I've told it when I was doing the connection, I want you to talk to a very specific Jira. But as you know, I have a lot of Jiras. And so very similar to the rules that govern inside of the Sheets demonstration that we did, your Atlassian ID, your Atlassian email must match your Excel Microsoft 365, which in your case, it should match because you're a corporate employee. You shouldn't be doing anything else outside of your job with this stuff. So it should be the same account. But once those emails match up, then you have to pick which Jira, which site, which instance of Jira you want to use. And I told it repeatedly which one I wanted to use, and it keeps redirecting me to the wrong one. And so I don't appreciate that. And so I'm just going to pick a filter, and I'm going to pick the filters that are available to me. And I'm just going to go to the ones reported by me. And I'm going to click on the get data now. And so this is actually pulling in from the wrong Jira. I don't want this Jira. But as you can see, the import happens just and exactly the way it did earlier when we had our work inside of Google Sheets. So the experience is very similar. I would say or argue a little degraded in my opinion, because I would like for it to actually listen to me and behave correctly and go to the correct Jira. This is not the Jira that I told it to go to. And two, and I'm just thinking for the users that aren't that comfortable with JQL, right, is you should have the basic, the drop down where you pick your fields. That's a pretty good one to have. And I think this is a pretty big miss. We do have the David famous Jira JQL function, which again, if you want to know what the Jira JQL function is, it's a good solution when you want to have the output in a different cell than A1, or if you want to have in the same worksheet more than one query. James says, do you know the PowerShell command that can be used to install the Jira Cloud for Excel add-in? My Microsoft Shop is blocked out, but PowerShell works. I do not. I can see if there's a command that we can run, but oh boy, it's been a minute. I used to do PowerShell so much. Let's see, Excel, PowerShell, install Jira Cloud for Excel. Let's see if there's actually one. I don't know that this one would have one. What does Gemini say? Gemini says to go do through the UI. So I don't know if there is one. I would not be holding my breath out, JM Grawl. I've never tried it, but I would probably talk with Atlassian support or Microsoft support to see if there is one. But simple Google searches in the limited time that I have are not yielding anything promising. Okay, so that's the bringing the data in, and very similar to what we did with the, oh boy, it just doesn't let me do it over here. Oh, let me go back to my filter. Nope. Yes. So very similar to what we did with with Google Sheets. We have the ability to edit, so we can pick which fields we want, which fields we don't want. So that's kind of cool. And then we have the updates, which can rerun every time you open the workbook, or it can run when you hit the refresh button at the bottom of this bar here. So as you can see, a little bit more simpler, which you would think Microsoft, being the company that it is, would have way more options in here, but I don't know if it's a limitation on the Microsoft side. I don't know if it's a limitation on the Atlassian side. I would think it's on the Microsoft side because we already saw what the Google Cloud one can do, which is, in my opinion, better. But you're a little bit more limited here to what you can actually do. And so your scheduling is going to be every time you open the workbook, like rerun the query, or rerun the query only when I hit the button. And that's pretty much it. Like, there's really not a whole lot here. You can tell this to replace the sheet. But again, the reason why we do this, right, is because you can now take this data and you can pivot table the crap out of your life's content here. So you can do whatever you want to do with your data. I know some of you were like born with Excel in your hands, right? And so you know how to use Excel really, 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 really well. And so this now gives you that data, right? Because you didn't have to copy anything, you didn't have to export anything. It's all just coming in. And whenever any changes happen on the Jira side, you just simply click on the refresh data, which is hidden here by my comment, right? You click on the refresh data down here, and then the data gets updated. So you always have the latest and greatest, and you can always be working off the latest and greatest, but you're working with the comfortable way of what Jira is. I mean, Excel. Give me your I know how to use Excel better than Alex. That is probably true. I like to tell people, Rodney, I like to remind people that I am Dr. Jira, not Dr. Excel. So maybe one day. I do see that YouTube channels that talk about Excel are 1,000 times more successful than Jira channels. So maybe 2026 is the year that I just shift over to Excel and I leave Jira in the dust. Because let's face it, as much as Atlassian would love the world to leave Excel and go to Jira, there is like Excel is just so powerful. I don't know how Microsoft knocked this one out of the park when they made this one. I found something, but I think you have to be a Microsoft 365 global admin. And here's a link for that. So check that out. JM Grawl, yes. Okay, so that was, I'm in Excel. I went through all the hoops. I got all the stuff installed, and we're good to go. We are not going to go in reverse, right? So we're going back to Jira, and I'm in my same query here. Again, going to the list view with the all work inside of your space is not going to work because we don't have the apps button. So you want to click on the search up at the top, view all work items, do your query, do whatever you got to do here. Then you can click on your apps and you can open in Excel, and this is going to do the same pop-up. And then again, you do a little prayer. You're gonna have to pick whether you want to do Excel on the desktop or Excel online, and it's up to you which one you want to do. I'm gonna do the desktop. It's gonna create a file that you just double click on, and then it'll open it up, and it's on my other monitor. So you bring it over here, and it just opens it up, and it's just the way we expected it. So luckily, unfortunately, this time Excel works better. So it actually brought in the data that I wanted. This should have the 123 items, which it does. And from the Jira, that's correct. So I don't know. This is a little buggy, right? I told it when I was setting up Jira the first time, or in Excel, which Jira I wanted to get my data from, and it didn't. It ignored me. But at least when I export this way, like when I send it from Jira to Excel, it honors my request, and it gives me the data. Which again, now here you can color code things, you can sort things, right? So this is like the cool thing, right? Because this is people's domain here, right? They live for this stuff, right? Where you can now like do all your stuff where you can just see all your bugs, right? And so you can do all this data, you can do your pivot tables, you can do charts, you can do whatever you want at this point because you're now using Jira data inside of Excel. And if anything changes in Jira, all you ever got to do is click the refresh button and you have it. You have your data. And so you always have the latest and greatest. It will overwrite stuff. It will overwrite your data, which is not necessarily a good thing, but at least you aren't having to export data every time. You can just simply click the refresh button. So this makes it pretty powerful. Now, let's pivot a little bit, and I'm just going to close some of these things out. I don't care for these things anymore. We've met our requirements here. So I wanted to talk to you guys. We are sponsored by Titan Apps. Titan Apps doesn't make an Excel spreadsheet, but I want to just give it to you guys straight. When you don't pay for apps, when you get the free stuff, like the two things that I demoed, there are going to be some limitations. There's going to be some limits there. So I would highly recommend, again, not sponsored, not associated, but if you go to your apps and you manage your apps and you go to like explore apps, just simply type in the word Excel in the search. Do not go to the top search. Go to this search here. Type in the word Excel and check out some of the other apps. I would highly recommend. Again, I'm not going to call any one of these out, but check them out. See which one works better for you. All of these should offer some sort of a 30-day trial for you. And one of these might meet your requirements better. One of these might actually allow you to do bi-directional on that data. I don't know. Again, I have not tried them all out. But one of the things that you should at least consider is you, as your due diligence, right? As the representative of Jira for your company, is make sure that you meet your requirements, right? And you may have to get a plugin. And so again, so I'm not sponsored or recommending any of these solutions here, but definitely at least give some of these a whirl, a try, to see if they meet your requirements and qualifications better than the free stuff. Because especially if your requirement is to do that bidirectional sync, you might not be able to do that with the free one, as we just showed. And maybe assets is not supported, as somebody had asked me earlier. I think it was Nick, right? And so it's always a good idea to test the different plugins, right? And see if any of these do it for you. Now, I also do know that if you don't want to use Excel, if you don't want to use Google Sheets, but you want to stay within Jira, again, not sponsored, but JXL is going to be one of those good ones that I've seen a lot of teams use. And so this is like a happy medium where you basically bring the Google, the Google Sheets or the Excel experience, you bring it into Jira. Okay, so that's a different way to do it. The other thing that I'll tell you, as we're in the full disclosure of just how apps work here, Atlassian's list view, if you go to the list view within your board, this looks and feels like a Google Sheet and an Excel file. You obviously can't do the pivot tables and all that stuff, but you do have the ability to come over here and view some work items as a chart. So you have some very, very limited things where you can like build by your assignees, by the priority. So you can't do a whole lot of cool manipulation, but we're starting to see Atlassian like wet their feet here and get everything, get things a little bit nicer. So we have this like little table, we have a little pie chart, right, based on like statuses, right? So you can see a little bit of a breakdown. So I would highly recommend, if you're not ready to go full power of Google Sheets or full power of Excel, but you still want a little bit more of that familiarity, check out the list view. Like the list view is actually not half bad, and it might work. Ronnie would like to remind everybody that it can't run calculations like standard deviation on the data in the list view either, though, right? So again, this is where those Excels and Google Sheets and other plugins are going to come into play. Ronnie also says, whenever anyone asks me about free apps for Jira, I remind them that people's job depend on this, and well, you get what you pay for, especially when it comes to support. Yeah, this is especially true, right? Like if you need help or you have a question like, hey, does this thing do the assets? Like, good luck getting an answer. Like, unless you go try it yourself, like the free stuff, you get what you pay for. So usually with those paid plugins, the marketplace partners will usually turn around and help out, and they're a lot more supportive and helpful. Again, not sponsored by any of the Excel folks, but definitely check them out. And then out of curiosity, just to make sure I didn't upset my sponsor for this video, I'm going to click on manage apps real quick and explore apps. And I just want to make sure that Titan Apps doesn't actually have something for Excel. They have a couple of apps. They have the Smart Checklist, which is what we've been promoting. Check that QR code on the upper right-hand corner. They have a free version of it too if you want to kind of get your feet wet, but they have the pro version that's going to give you a lot more. They got Smart Templates, Smart Issue Work Hierarchy, Smart Productivity and Team Activity Dashboard. So definitely no Excel. So I think we should be fine. I don't think I upset any of my folks here, but really cool. I like their logos and their colors. But anyways, folks, that's going to be pretty much it for this one. I just want to remind you that we are officially done. This brings us to the very, very end of our Getting Started with Jira series. And so make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're going to be dropping the 12-hour, well, it's going to be like 11 and a half hour version of the entire Getting Started with Jira. So if you missed any streams since January, because we did one in January, in February, March, and April, May, like there was 12 of them, folks. There's literally, I have, whoa, let me get my paper out here. I have 12 of these that, oh, this is hard to see in the sun. So this, and my chicken scratch. But there's 12 sessions here that we did over in the entire year of 2025. And so if you want to watch any of them, they're in my live section, or just wait about a week or two. We're going to drop them inside of just one long continuous video. And if you want to join the school community, we're going to drop them there too. But in the school community, you also get a couple more things that you don't get anywhere else, specifically the Atlassian Builders Summit. So back in October, I had a 3-day conference that I hosted, and we had 26 sessions from 26 of the most amazing Jira administrators and experts in their fields. And all of that content is exclusively right now available on our school community. So definitely check out the school community if you want to get access to that information. And then Josh and I continuously just continue to drop information and courses, and we have our one-on-ones, and we answer all your questions on there as well. So it's a really cool place. I am going to be retiring a Udemy course that I have. It's basically a complementing course to this one, to this fundamentals getting started with Jira. So I'm going to be retiring it. So I'm giving it away for free for the next like 2 days. So you got to get it by like Friday. It's our little Black Friday special. And so you're interested in that, get that. But the reason you should get it is because in 2026, I'm updating it with all the latest and newest things. So you'll basically get the upgrade for free if you get it now. And then earlier this year, I made a new course with for like Jira and Agile. And so if you're interested in how to use Jira from an Agile perspective, I have a course that's down to $10. Again, expires on Friday. So it's a little Black Friday special. So go get it now and make sure you sign up for those courses. Now, as far as community-led courses go, again, we finished the entire getting started with Jira. We are completely done, but the fun doesn't stop there. Next week, we're going to continue with our Jira administration series. So if you want to finish those out, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 more. This was actually already done. We've already done priorities in this. So we are going to do 3 more. We're going to talk about I can't multitask, statuses, resolutions, issue level security, permission schemes, and we're going to have a bonus course on just using all the tools. So next week's going to be a very, very busy week. So go rest up. You can get a lot of turkey. And then when you come back next week, we'll have a lot. And if you want to sign up for any of these classes, highly recommend you check out my link here on the community-led courses and check them all out. And then finally, back to LinkedIn. If you take anything away from this course, just connect with me on LinkedIn, folks. Build your network, and you can always ask me questions on LinkedIn. I won't respond as well, but you can always try and ask some questions on LinkedIn. But definitely connect because I'm always doing something. Josh and I are gearing up to do 2 major events in 2026. So we're going to be doing some really, really awesome stuff. If you're coming to Team Anaheim next year, we have some really cool things planned out for you. If you are in the Dallas area or around the Dallas area and you're interested in taking your skills to the next level, again, Josh and I, we're going to make some major announcements next week. So you want to be connected with me on LinkedIn because that's where all the announcements always drop. So definitely use that link tree here that I dropped. Go find my LinkedIn and send me a connection request and or follow. And yeah, so that's pretty much it, folks. Happy Thanksgiving if you're in the United States. I wish you well. I wish your turkey to not get dry or burn up. I most certainly have done both. And so I hope you all have a great little break, a little 4 or 5 day extended weekend. Rest up and let's finish 2025 strong. We have another 30 days when we come back. And so 31 days. So thank you all. Join the school community, folks. Definitely don't want to skip on that one. Bye.